Time for some more late-night sport now on 5 with World Series Baseball.
The 0-1. Swung on, there it goes to right. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. We shocked the world, baby.
Conine is there, and that's the game. And the Florida Marlins are going to the World Series.
Here's a fly ball deep to left. It's on its way. There it goes. And the Yankees are going to the World Series.
Hi guys, big warm welcome to MLB 2003 for Game 2, the Fall Classic with me, Jonny Gould, and David Lengel on my left. Sorry I can't say hi, David. You know the bad news, guys. Yes, the game's already started. Our sincerest apologies. We're as embarrassed about it as you are frustrated, no doubt. But the good news, we have not missed any score. This is live pitches. We've got Hideki Matsui. It's the bottom of the first. There are 2 men on the corners. Bernie Williams on the first. Jason Giambi on third. Let's join the boys. Gary Thorne and Rick Sutcliffe. Home run! Wow, there is a God in heaven. By Jove, what a way to kick off a show. Welcome, guys. Sorry for the quick start. 3-run shot from Hideki Matsui. Dave, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to even say hello.
That's
Great
okay.
to see
Hello
you,
there. How are you?
What a way to start.
Incredible. Well, we got here just in time. When the money was down, we were there. We got you the home run. Thank goodness.
3-run lead already, and we're only in the bottom of the first. Right, we need to hear from the man himself. He's over across the pond. It is, of course, Mr. Josh Chetwynd. Pre-game, this is what he had to say.
Hey, Johnny and David. I really wish that I brought a heavy jacket and gloves tonight because it is downright cold. The good news is that the wind isn't swirling. It's not going to be another Game 6 of the American League Championship Series where the ball was flying around. One place where it isn't cold, the Marlins dugout and clubhouse, because they are really. I spoke with Florida Marlins pitching coach Wayne Rosenthal earlier today, and he was incredibly happy with the pitching performance yesterday by the likes of Brad Penny and Dontrelle Willis. In fact, he said that if necessary, Willis can come back tonight and throw a batter or 2. Beyond that, looking at tonight, Mark Redmond. He mentioned that look for Redmond to throw inside, a lot of fastballs to dominate the inside of the plate. If he can do that, Rosenthal thinks that the Marlins should be looking good at a 2-0 lead. As for the Yankees, big problem is energy. They just don't have a lot of it. Yankee Stadium was not the normal home field advantage last night. There wasn't the excitement, there wasn't the buzz. Look for the Yankees to try and get ahead early to get the fans into it. That's it from Yankee Stadium. I'm going to try and put on a warm jacket. Back to you guys.
Oh, thanks to JC, of course, is moonlighting with 5 Live, Radio 5 Live.
Is
the
he
colour
really?
man with them, yeah.
Cheeky.
And doing a great job. I was listening to him on the way here. And that was a good point he made about Redmond trying to pitch inside. Let's check out what went wrong with Hideki Matsui, because, I mean, I didn't get a chance. It all happened so quickly by the time we came on out. I wasn't sure if that was pitched inside, but let's face it,
let's
Matsui
take a look.
knew whatever it was, he was on top of it.
He was on top of it.
Totally
And so much for not a lot of home runs. With the ball, you know, cold, the ball's not going to be flying around a lot.
Well, we have a pitching duel last night, a 3-2 score through 9. We're only out of the first, and it's already a 3-love game.
Yeah, well, I was thinking on my way in, you know, this could be a big scoring game for the Yankees because they're just due. They're too good a hitting team to not hit well. I mean, their averages are in the toilet right now, and there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, and they are a very solid hitting ball club, and there's no way that they're not going to score runs by the time it's all over.
Well, there it was, David, a chance to see the pitch then, and that was not inside. That was on the outside of the plate. It wasn't belt high, but it was pretty much, for a man of his ability, it was cafeteria pitching.
Joe Torre giving him the green light on 3-0. That shows that he wants to be aggressive tonight, and he knows that Matsui is a contact hitter, somebody who's usually going to get the bat on the ball. He's happy to take a chance on a 3-0 count with a player like that.
Okay, thanks, David. Let's rejoin the boys. Some of the second. It is, of course, Gary Thorne, Rick Sutcliffe.
Ichiro, well, Torrey managed Ichiro, and
Well, that should put the smile on a few Yankee fans. Andy Pettitt looking dominant, and let's face it, he hasn't been that dominant in the World Series. He's had some pretty good postseason numbers, but his World Series have always been a little bit disappointing for a guy who's clearly one of the aces of their rotation.
Yeah, well, he's the stopper this year. You know, the Yankees are 10-3 in games where Pettitt pitched after they lost. So he's been picking the Yankees up all year, and he's a good guy to have on the mound right now, even though he's on 3 days rest. But we're going to talk about him a little bit later. Let's talk about the lineup.
For the New York Yankees.
For the New York Yankees. And we see there are a few changes in the lineup today. Derek Jeter in the 2 spot. Jason Giambi moves up from 7 to 3. Now, Torrey took him down to 7 to try and get him going a little bit, but now I think they just want to get everybody back into their familiar roles. I mean, look, what else can he do? They're just not scoring runs right now.
Well, those are the postseason stats. We should stress that. So that's the divisional series, the championship series, and now the World Series. And you said it yourself, David. I mean, look at that. For average, Jeter, Bernie Williams, and Matsui, and that's it. Everyone else stinks.
Yeah, Jorge Posada, somebody who was mentioned as a MVP possible candidate, now batting below 250. Aaron Boone, of course, that's the biggest 167 average because of that home run he hit in Game 7 against the Red Sox. But let's talk about Alfonso Soriano. New York press yesterday saying if you're looking for somebody to blame the offense on, blame it on Soriano. He's already a great player. He's only going to get better, especially because he has some of the quickest wrists in baseball. Some have compared him, Johnny, with Hank Aaron, another slugger who had quick wrists. But one thing Soriano is lacking recently is plate discipline and a grasp of the strike zone. In the playoffs, when you're not seeing the ball well, you're facing good pitching almost every night. It's going to be tough. Right now, Soriano in a terrible slump. Struck out 18 times in 12 games. That's terrible. Tough. That's not going to work.
Nick Johnson's going to be leading off for them, and of course he had a pretty rotten night last night. Picked off as well at third.
Yeah.
To
he
make
stumbled
the third
there,
out
yeah.
When he stumbled, he needs to pick up his game. He's struggled. He has struggled. He's looked nervous. I mean, obviously, I think I'm right in saying, isn't it? This is his first World Series.
I believe it is. I think he might have been on the bench during 2001.
Yeah, I don't think.
But he certainly didn't have the role that he has now. And that's a very embarrassing thing to happen, especially in front of a full house at home, to be picked off at third base. That's the kind of thing you walk off and you feel very, very lonely.
Another chilly night at the Big Apple. 55,000 packed in for Game 2 of the World Series. Let's rejoin the action.
South Pacific. Leading it.
Well, would you believe it? Another run, and therefore driven by Juan Rivera, who's in for Kareem Garcia. Let's look at the RBI. It's an RBI double. Gets caught trying to advance to third by Pudge, the bullet arm from Pudge. This is a good shout because I can't believe they left Garcia out after his performance last night.
Well, they have a kind of rotating right field situation where you have DeLucci, Garcia, and Rivera. It's always been a kind of a black hole for them,
but
for the New
Garcia
York
did
Yankees.
great last night. I think he got 3 hits. Well, he certainly got on base 3 times. He got, I think, at least a couple of hits. I mean, he swung the bat great.
Torrey must just like Rivera in this matchup, but we saw Redmond left that ball up high in the strike zone. And you can't really do that in the major leagues to guys that have been there before. Rivera's been around a couple of seasons, so he knows what it's like to wear pinstripes and be in a similar spot.
Okay, well, let's talk about somebody who does know how to wear pinstripes. Big time.
Yeah.
On the mound tonight, Andy Pettitt.
Andy Pettitt, Andy Pettitt is Mr. Game 2. Since his first postseason in '95, Pettitt has started 11 Game 2s. This time around, he faced the Twins and the Sox in Game 2. Both times was able to help the Yankees even the series at a game apiece. On this occasion, however, he's attempting defeat on just 3 days rest. After a shaky outing against Boston in Game 6 of the ALCS, Pettitt was chosen to start by manager Joe Torre because he has a bit more rest than Mike Messina, who threw 33 pitches in Game 7, and also because Pettitt seems to be a bit of a safer bet at home. Yankee Stadium is Pettit's comfort zone. And look, some people felt maybe even bring out Jeff Weaver for this game instead of having your guys on short rest and then bring everybody out on regular rest starting with Game 3.
But it's the same for both.
It just goes to show you the lack of confidence that they have in Jeff Weaver.
Yeah. Well, with justification. Check out the Marlins lineup, and as we said last night, all about the top 2 getting on base. They both did it in the first last night. Only Castillo did it tonight and then got caught stealing. Surprise, surprise, they haven't scored yet.
Yeah, and Juan Pierre is talking a lot in the press about how he fulfilled his goal, which was to get inside the heads of the New York Yankees. Everybody knows that Pierre is somebody who can lay down a bunt and get on base, and that's exactly what he did. Yet the Yankees were playing back, and next thing you know, he's in their heads, he's running around the bases, he did his job. Castillo, also another speedster, though he's a bit more tentative these days. Rodriguez, Miguel Cabrera, again, batting cleanup. Derek Lee is a free agent, and it's just a strong lineup. And what happens when Lowell starts to hit? He's less than 100% right now. I mean, imagine those possibilities with this lineup. With a healthy Lowell, remember he had over 30 home runs and 100 RBIs this season.
Thank you, David. Top of the third. Well, guys, JC's been out and about at Yankee Stadium for the last couple of days, hanging out in the bleachers, a stadium that has been witness to so many historical moments in the game of baseball, but not all of them involving the players.
Last week, the 26-year-old Chicago Cubs fan Steve Bartman made news. Did it by trying to catch a foul ball at Chicago's Wrigley Field, and in the process getting in the way of Moises Alou, who felt he could have had a catch. The result? A lot of broken-hearted Cubs fans. Well, that wasn't the first time in recent postseason history that a fan got involved with the ball in play. In fact, right here at Yankee Stadium, 12-year-old Jeffrey Mayer did the trick, but in that case, helped the home team. In the ALCS in 1996, Mayer stuck his hand over the fence to try and catch a fly ball, hit by Derek Jeter. Tony Tarasco, the Baltimore Orioles outfielder, thought he had a chance of catching it. Well, Mayer caught it instead, and the outfield umpire didn't see it. The home run led to an extra inning affair that the New York Yankees won, and as a result, the Yankees went on to a World Series championship. Well, can that happen again? No way. In fact, the Yankees have made sure of that. You can see right here, they now have bars to avoid any such situation occurring. And it says no fan movement in this area during play. So, no Jeffrey Mayer this time around.
Thanks, JC. And of course, Jeffrey Mayer became a huge star.
Yeah.
I mean, the big difference was he helped the Yankees, whereas the poor kid in Chicago hindered the Cubs. And he was on David Letterman. I mean, they made him into a
He's playing high
superstar.
school baseball right now, Jeffrey Mayer.
Because how old was he then? Was he about 12 or 13, wasn't he?
No, he's growing up now, and I'm sure he'll get a look from scouts, from Yankee scouts in particular, if he's showing any kind of skills whatsoever. But
Only in America, though, Dave.
Let's talk for a second about Andy Pettitt, because Andy Pettitt sat in a press conference and talked about how he really wasn't sure about how he was going to come out tonight. He just didn't know how his arm was going to react on 3 days rest. And early on in the game, we missed it. The Marlins were taking a lot of pitches and forcing a lot of long counts. They came out in the second inning and started first pitch swinging, and now Pettitt is in a rhythm. He struck out his last 3 batters. He is looking not like a pitcher who is going on 3 days rest, that's for sure right now.
Thanks, David. Jeter leads off, bottom of the third. The 29-year-old Mark Redmond is already out of the ball game. We're not even out of the bottom of the third. 29 years old, 6'5". He's a big lad. He's a lefty, which you like. You like that sort of a matchup, throwing lefty.
Former Tiger.
Former Tiger. Not that I...
Coming out tonight.
So that's not something to shout about. But, I mean, 14-9 season, regular season score. 3.59 ERA. None of that is shabby, but he doesn't throw much heat.
No.
Let's be honest. I mean, he's high 80s.
No, that means he has to locate his pitches because he can't come back and, make up for mistakes with, heat. And the thing about Redmond is this year, he's had a pretty good all-around season. He broke his thumb earlier in the season and came back very well from that. There were concerns about his stamina, concerns about him pitching late into ball games, and he just didn't have it tonight. A guy like that who has concerns about stamina, pitching, short rest, dangerous. We saw he gave up that home run to Kerry Wood, remember? I
was looking at the scouting report that they issued on ESPN about him, and they were just talking about the regular season, that there were concerns about his tendency to get injured and his ability to throw a lot of innings through a season. He doesn't have stamina, and he's come back from short rest, and clearly he's just not on his game tonight. One upside for the Marlins, if they can stretch this series, if it does go down to Game 6, Game 7, is that he will be throwing his second time out. He will be very fresh because he'll get a proper rest. Plus, he's hardly thrown that many pitches tonight.
And now we're going to see Rick Helling, who, of course, many people remember getting hit around by the Yankees in those divisional series when he was with Texas. And Helling is a guy who also pitched against the Yankees in the 2001 World Series. So he's no stranger to this environment. And he's a guy who will be looked on now to eat innings, chew innings, because the staff is tired. People are tired. I couldn't believe it to hear that Jack McKeon was actually considering bringing Willis in to face a couple of batters tonight. He said that Willis might be available even after throwing 2 1/3 last night. I think that's pretty incredible. But they need Helling to go deep into this game. And I don't think this game is over. The Marlins have shown tendency, we see it, to come back all season long. So if they can keep it 4 runs, I don't see any reason why they can't chip away, chip away, chip away.
We're going to relive the moment from the first. Hideki Matsui's 3-run shot to centre field had about 2 feet enough to get over that centre field fence, and that is why they've now actually got a 4-run lead. That was 3 runs just to kick off the first. Not a happy night for Mark Redmond. Let's rejoin the action. We're still in the bottom of the third. 1 out, 2 on. Well, what a perfect guy to bring into the game in that sort of situation. Rick Helling
did a good job.
Did a great job. 8 years in the American League, in the major leagues, and 3 years in the National League, which included 96 and 97, with the Florida Marlins, but did not pitch in the postseason, but did pitch with with Florida, but went to Texas. What a bad decision that was. Went to Texas from Florida in '97, the year the Marlins went on to win the World Series.
If only it was his, you could blame him.
But at least, you know, he's another Marlin. He's another Marlin who's come back to the group, back to the team, like Jeff Conine. There's that sense of, you know, of a family.
Full circle?
Full circle, absolutely. Guys, thanks for all the emails. Do keep them coming. You've got our email strap. If you haven't, we can always remind you throughout the show. Baseball@5.tv. Baseball@5.tv. We love to hear from you. Even if it is to slag us off because we missed the top of the game. We cannot apologise more.
And we're getting heat.
We are getting heat. And I obviously, from the bottom of my heart, I do apologise. Nothing to do with us, but I do promise I will forward those emails to the people that should see them. So that's a promise from us. We're going to make it up to you. We're going to have a cracking night. That's for sure. We'll start with in-game trivia #1 of the night. Can we stump the man?
Let's go.
Here we go. Here's the question. Since 1990, 8 pitchers have been named World Series MVP. 8 pitchers since '99. Well, I know 2 of them. It's not that tough. Name 7 of them.
Now?
No, not now. We'll give you an inning or so.
Okay.
But, I mean, 2 you can knock off straight away.
Yes, you can.
If you're a 5 viewer, regular viewer from past years. Great to have you on board. Rick Helling, though, what a job he just did. We've had some hilarious emails come in already. Did you know, and this is fascinating, I find this fascinating, David Lengel, this is Alan D that says in this, is an anagram of Devil Dangle.
I like the other one. Remember the other one?
No, let's focus on Devil Dangle. I think your girlfriend needs to know this. Perhaps she should be known as the Star Dangle Devil.
She's home now.
Is she gone home?
She's not watching anymore. She just got off. She just got off the flight. She's over. That's it.
I'll tell you one thing, guys. We may have missed the top of the show, but we will not miss the national anthem. That is tradition on this show, so we will get a chance to experience, and it was an experience, mark my words, and we'll be getting the score on that to compare with last night, as is tradition here on 5. That's another promise to you all. Can you believe it? We actually got a marriage proposal late last night, didn't even get a chance to do it. So just in case Charlie is still out there, M wants to marry you. If you're watching the show, it wants us to ask. M,
couldn't you be a little bit more dramatic and subtle about it? Like we have an announcement here or something? This is a marriage proposal. Dim the lights.
Do you know, I do feel like I'm married to you at times. Rach, where are you when I need you? Back to the game.
Goes off the side to retire the fish in the 4th.
Lee from Watford fell asleep last night. Wants Game 1 highlights. Here you go, Lee, just for you.
Third base. RBI dinger.
Well, hardly any hits, hardly any runs last night, and at the moment, admittedly, they're all coming one way, but that's the second home run of the night. And you mentioned Soriano, one of the reasons why the offense for the Yankees has been struggling. It's a good sign for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great sign, and you know, Soriano really had a surge towards the end of the season, and then he just went ice cold. And to be honest, the Yankees' offense hasn't been the same since. Maybe this is a positive sign. Soriano is a key part of this lineup. He's been playing miserably. He hasn't had the kind of form that saw him go almost 40-40 last year. And here, let's look at this shot. I mean, it is a mistake. And it's very important for the New York Yankees to have Alfonso Soriano swinging a hot bat and playing the way he's capable of playing. Like, as I said earlier, the New York Post, you know, you want to blame somebody, start with Soriano. He was playing well below his potential. And I really did expect the Yankees to hit tonight because I can't see how they would have been this cold for this long. They're simply too good.
Interesting as well that you have to say that was a bad pitch. It was up, it was right over the heart of the plate, and it got penalised, which at the end of the day is what you got to do. You cannot let a mistake like that go away without penalising it big time. I think the Post, and I think you're being a tad harsh on the lad, he's still young. This is, you know, relatively speaking, this is still a kid in baseball terms. It's just the numbers he put together in the first half of the season were awesome. I mean, they were awesome.
No,
you know, put him in the top 10 fantasy baseball players. That's how good he was. So for him to go cold relative to that was almost inevitable. He's not, you know, his experience suggested he can't maintain that sort of form. Even Pujols went cold towards the end of the season.
Everybody has a slump every once in a while, but he set the bar so high for everybody that it was disappointing when he started to creep down a little bit. But look, this is a guy who a lot of people think could move to center field next year and become the next center fielder for the Yankees if they elect to not put Hideki Matsui in center field next year. And there's no reason why he can't be, you know, a Hall of Fame player, an immortal. I mean, he's got all the skills. He just needs to be a little bit more disciplined at the plate and needs to shore up his fielding a little bit.
We mentioned last night that the Yankees do have a sense of humour. Fillet the fish. They're certainly demonstrating it tonight. There's some smiles at Yankee Stadium. And why shouldn't they? 6-run lead. Let's rejoin the action.
The Florida fans will have...
We'll Josh Chetwin maybe moonlighting for 5 Live Radio, but I tell you what, we're making sure he earned his money for us here on 5. We sent him out and about earlier today on the streets of New York to find out the views of the Yankee fans.
In the baseball world, the New York Yankees are known as being amongst the most loyal and passionate of baseball fans. As you can see behind me, they'll buy just about anything to support their team. So we took to the streets of New York to discuss baseball and the Yankees with the people of the city. First question, bigger sex symbol, David Beckham or David Wells?
Oh, David Wells, definitely.
And why?
Just because he's bigger in the more important places.
David Wells or David Beckham?
David Beckham.
And why?
Because he married Posh Spice.
Bigger sex symbol, David Beckham or David Wells?
David Wells. I think the ladies like the fat around here.
David Wells.
Why?
Just the mustache, the belly, you know, the bald head. Stud.
That's amazing.
But when you ask a guy, he's got a mustache, he's fat, and he's got a bald head, of course he's going to say David Wells. That's extraordinary.
Well, look,
That's not exactly subjective, is it?
I think America has come a long way in terms of their knowledge of David Beckham.
Well, the fact that they knew
back
he
when
was.
I was working in New York for an unnamed company, we did something similar to that. You know, trying to find out who David Beckham is. Nobody knew who David Beckham is. A few years later, everybody knows who David Beckham is. So people now know because of the whole Posh thing, and Manchester United has a bigger presence in the U.S.
Well, I know with the work that I've done with ITV that they sent out reporter Angus Scott during the World Cup, and we organised through the office here of MLB, very kindly helped them out, got them to a Mets game, and he went into the stands, and of course the USA were in the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Of soccer, and they were asking the fans, you know, are you aware, blah, blah, blah. And half the guys sitting there having their hot dogs watching baseball,
no idea,
didn't have a clue.
No interest.
Didn't have a clue, absolutely not. Right, rejoin the action. At the moment, it's one-way traffic, and it's all going New York's way.
4 runs, rather. Hellings to 1-1.
More action from the streets of New York as Josh Chetwin carries out yet another of his famous Yankee polls.
Okay, if you had to vote for governor, would you vote for Joe Torre or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Joe Torre all the way, man. Joe Torre, definitely. Arnold Schwarzenegger got the muscles, but Torre's got the brain up in here to lead them to 27 World Series champions. Number 27 we're going to get today.
Joe Torre or Arnold Schwarzenegger? Who would you pick?
Joe Torre. I believe his thumb's bigger than Arnold's brain.
It's a tough call. I think I'll go Joe Torre because he's going to win the, you know, he's going to win the World Series.
Governor's race. If you had a choice between Arnold Schwarzenegger or Joe Torre, where would you go?
I would go to Schwarzenegger, yeah. I would go with him, yeah.
Really? You don't think the coaching acumen of Joe Torre would help a governor?
Well, yeah, but we Americans don't like smart people in political offices, so I think we want to stay with Arnold.
Let alone smart people with microphones in their head. Apparently, Josh was later arrested for molesting New York walkers, but he's just got out in time to see the game live. Toe rag! He's watching it live!
Yeah. Like I did last year.
I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. No, I'm not jealous.
No.
We've been asked for a help here, guys, from Alex Stewart from the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. Could you ask your devoted viewers for a name for my baby-to-be in 6 months' time? Alex, we can but ask.
Easy.
A baseball field?
Shinja.
It's true, yeah. I don't think that's going to be quite right. Babe,
simple as that.
The surname is Stewart, which is actually... it's
Shannon.
not, no, it's not Alex Stewart, it's Alex Stewart, so it's not the same one. It's Isle of Lewis in Scotland, not the Oval in Kennington, London. No, Alex Stewart. So come up with a name for a baby. I think it's going to be a girl. Did he say it was going to be a girl? No, he said a baby to be. Well, that doesn't help us, Alex. We don't know if it's a girl or a boy. Well, we need a name that could be either.
Well, that will work for both, because Shannon is a woman's name, and Shannon Stewart plays for the Twins. So that's if you want a baseball name, you've got it.
Shannon Stewart. Covers both.
Yes, I've said it 3 times already. Where have you been?
It's only just got through the haze that is 42 years and 2 in the morning.
Got through that puffy hair you have.
Oh, let's not go with the puffy hair. Let's not go there. Let's go back to the Big Apple from the big hair.
New York.
Well, time now for one last outing with Mr. Josh Chetwin, asking the most important baseball question of all.
Final question. British baseball presenters, David Lengel or Jonny Gould? Who's your favorite?
Jonny Gould, because he looks smarter.
Jonny Gould or David Lengel? Who's your favorite?
Jonny who?
David Lengel.
And because?
Because he's a hottie.
Jonny Gould.
Why?
Because, well, I have to pick someone.
British baseball presenters on 5. Who's your favorite, David Lengel or Jonny Gould?
Oh, Jonny Gould. I definitely like him because he's just so Gouldish.
3-1. One split decision.
I think I get more points for the hottie comment.
Yeah, but look at her. I mean, the girl's desperate. The girl's desperate.
That is just wrong.
That was wrong.
That is terrible. Shame on you, boy.
Even I know that
Shame
was the
on
wrong
you.
thing to say.
Oh, man, get under that desk.
Let's talk some baseball, shall we? Before I get into real trouble.
Sure, whatever you want.
Thank you to Joshy, who's, as we speak, in the stands at Yankee Stadium.
That's great. Well
doing
done,
a great
yeah.
job, and lovely to see him back on 5 TV rather than 5 Live. Let's talk quickly about Andy Pettitt. We mentioned earlier about his postseason record, and it is amazing. 12-7 lifetime in the postseason, David, and yet he is 2-3 with a 5.08 ERA in 8 World Series starts. Something about the World Series that normally gets to him. Yet tonight, he's pitching like a god.
He's great. Well, that's just one of those things. You know, sometimes the numbers, you can work the numbers any way you want. Look at Bernie Williams. I mean, Bernie Williams is notorious for not hitting well during the World Series, yet he goes out last night and he hits a home run.
Yeah.
Tonight he's got a hit and a walk in 3 plate appearances, so he looks to be getting on track. You know, baseball is a team game. Sometimes you got to pick up your teammates, and that's what the Yankees have done over the past, you know, since 1995. Andy Pettitt, no exception. You know, they've managed to win 4 titles. You know, even though Andy Pettitt has an ERA over 5 in the World Series, he's been picked up by his teammates.
So much of baseball seems to be momentum as well, because in this postseason, he's 2-0 with a 3.38 ERA in 3 starts in the postseason, Andy Pettitt. And it's just that momentum he seems to be carrying into the World Series. Maybe that's just what it's all about.
Maybe.
It's rhythm. Right, at the moment, a bit one-sided. Marlins need to get in it. Chad Fox, former Boston Red Sox, needs to keep them in it. Rejoin the action. We're in the bottom of the 6th.
9 outs.
Well, they continue to pick up the hits, just not picking up the runs at the moment. But this is what now, a 8-hit ball game for the Yankees, starting to swing the bat with some effectiveness.
Well, they've got a 6-0 lead. They got to be happy about that.
Well, who's swinging the bat?
Pettit's going deep into the game.
Yeah, which is key when you consider how tired everybody is. But are you swinging the bat for in-game
Well,
trivia?
we'll see. Let's see.
That's the big question. Here's a reminder of the question, guys. Since 1990, 8 pitchers have been named World Series MVP. 8 pitchers have been named World Series MVP. The question we've asked you, David, is to name just 7 of them. That's pretty generous, I feel. We've given you 1 off. 1 freebie.
Levon Hernandez is the freebie.
Levon Hernandez from the 97 Florida Marlins. There he is.
Wow, look at this.
Hey,
okay.
This is sexy graphics.
Kurt Schilling.
Have we got a new budget or something? Kurt Schilling, yes, obvious. There he is.
Woo!
From the
this is
2001.
Hot. Isn't this hot?
And alongside Kurt?
Randy Johnson.
Of course, Randy Johnson. That's 3.
This is where we get dodgy. Mariano Rivera.
Absolutely, definitely right. Those are the 4 that are in the Gouldy era from 97 onwards. Now, what about the
John
the other 4?
Smoltz?
Ooh. No!
Uh-oh.
We don't have the sound effects. The budget doesn't quite stretch that far, but I'll do them for you.
Jack Morris?
That's interesting. Jack Morris? Yes, it's a good one. 3 to get. Any more?
Dave
offers?
Stewart?
Dave Stewart? What, in Eurythmics? No! Annie Lennox apparently got close, though. Any others?
Tom Glavine?
Tom Glavine. Yes.
I need a Blue Jay.
You need a Blue Jay.
David Cone?
Oh, no, afraid not. Leaves 2. I'm afraid
I can't remember who won those MVPs.
You've swung and you've missed, boy. You struck out. 3 strikeouts. Check out who the 2 that you missed were. Very quickly.
That's right. I could not remember who the 90 guy was.
And John Wetland.
Fair enough.
There you go.
I don't feel bad about that because...
No, good question. Good attempt. Wrong. There you go. Fantastic.
I don't feel bad about it.
We've stumped him. And there's the score for the World Series in-game trivia.
Woo!
Erika takes
This is the first time I've been down all year.
It is. On Eric, you've been... Let's not go there. David Curtis wants to know, who is Eric? You don't want to know, David. Take it from us. Let's rejoin the action.
The league would have the home field advantage.
Yeah. Cracking voice.
Good voice.
God bless America.
Yep.
Cracking voice.
Like that?
That
was good.
This day
in baseball.
What are we doing today? Today being...
We're having some fun, you know. We're looking back
October
at things
19th.
that happened. Now, this is what happened 2002, October 19th. On this very day, my favorite player in all of baseball made history by becoming the very first Japanese-born player in the history of the World Series. And I said history twice in one sentence. Why? No idea, because I don't have any other words to use. But Tsuyoshi Shinjo, I love him. He's great. Matsui, of course, is now the second Japanese-born player to ever play in the World Series. So
But
well
the first
done
one
to
to
him.
hit a home run. Because Shinjo didn't.
Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. The long saga between Billy Martin and Yankees owner George Steinbrenner continued as Billy Martin, in this day in 1987, was fired for a 5th time. I used to love the headlines, Billy 5, you know, in Roman numerals. Billy 4. It was great. It was comedy.
What about those redundancy payments? He must have made a fortune.
It was the Bronx Zoo at his best, and he passed away on Christmas Day a few years after that.
Oh, that's sad.
I believe he was drunk in the car, driving the car when that happened.
Oh, that's sad.
So next graphic, please. 1981, and Eric will not like to showcase this, but he does, because he has to, because it happened on this day in 1981. Montreal lose in the National League Championship Series on a Game 5 home run by Rick Monday, extinguishing the hopes of over 50,000 Quebecois looking on. Steve Rogers gave up that hit, and that was known as Blue Monday to fans in Montreal, and they haven't been that